What if I told you that most of the world's oil comes from just a few places on Earth, and that this was decided millions of years before humans even existed? Oil is everywhere in modern life: cars, planes, plastics, medicines, clothes, energy. Yet, when we look at the map, something unusual appears. The largest oil reserves on the planet are not evenly distributed. They are concentrated in specific regions. Why the Middle East? Why parts of Russia, the Americas, and Africa? And why not everywhere else? To understand this, we need to go far back in time, long before borders, countries, or even humans. Oil did not start as oil, it began as life. Millions of years ago, vast oceans were filled with microscopic organisms such as algae and plankton. When they died, they sank to the ocean floor. In most places, this organic material decomposed completely. But in certain regions, the seafloor lacked oxygen. Sediment covered the organic matter quickly, and instead of disappearing, it was preserved. This was the first step in the creation of oil. Over millions of years, layers of sediment continued to build up. Pressure increased, temperature slowly rose. Under the right conditions, not too hot and not too cold, this ancient organic material transformed into hydrocarbons. This process took tens of millions of years. If the material stayed too shallow, oil never formed. If it went too deep, it turned into gas or was destroyed. Oil exists only where this balance occurred. Once formed, oil rarely stayed in the same place. It migrated slowly through porous rock, pushed by pressure and buoyancy, moving upward over time. For oil to accumulate, it needed a trap, a porous rock to store it, and a sealed layer above it to prevent escape. Without these traps, oil leaked away and disappeared. Large oil reserves exist only where formation, migration, and trapping aligned perfectly. This alignment is rare. Millions of years ago, much of what is now the Middle East was covered by shallow, warm seas. These conditions supported massive plankton growth. They also created oxygen-poor seafloors and rapid sediment accumulation. Later, tectonic movements formed enormous underground traps. The result was the creation of some of the largest and most accessible oil reservoirs on Earth. Other regions, such as Russia, the United States, Venezuela, and parts of Africa, followed similar geological paths, but with differences. Variations in depth, temperature, and tectonic history changed how oil formed and accumulated. That is why oil quality, reserve size, and extraction difficulty vary so much around the world. Today, discovering new giant oil reserves is increasingly rare. Most of the ideal conditions that created massive oil fields no longer exist. What we find now tends to be deeper, offshore, or more complex to extract. This means the oil we use today is the result of processes that began tens to hundreds of millions of years ago. When you look at a map of global oil reserves, you are not seeing politics or economics. You are seeing ancient oceans, lost ecosystems, and geological history frozen beneath the surface. So here is the final question. If so much of our modern world depends on resources shaped by deep time, what other parts of everyday life are quietly controlled by events that happened millions of years before humans ever existed?